As disciples of Jesus, we must always remember that in and of ourselves, we are really nothing. We aren't worthy of anything. As servants of Jesus, the idea is not that, we have great intellectual, theological knowledge or anything like that. The idea is that we deny ourselves so that Christ might be formed in us. So it's no longer us who live, it's Christ who lives in us. Without Jesus, we can't do anything. As far as serving Jesus, we can't do anything. We can't bring anything to the table. Zero. Zip. Anything we bring to the table is worthless to God. And it's the Lord who equips us. He doesn't want our stuff. He wants us to work with His stuff. He'll provide the building blocks. He'll provide the equipment. Everything. And we need to deny ourselves. In and of ourselves, we're nothing. Absolutely nothing. Jesus mentions this at John 15. Abide in me and I in you. As the branch cannot bear fruit of itself unless it abides in the vine, so neither can you unless you abide in me. I am the vine, you are the branches. He who abides in me, and I in him, he bears much fruit. For apart from me, you can do nothing. Nothing. And there's a lot of people out there, a lot of men who think that, it's all about acquiring intellectual knowledge, becoming masters of theology and all this kind of stuff, and that's the important deal. It doesn't hurt to know that stuff. That's not what I'm saying. But it's not something that comes from Jesus. It's something that comes from other men. And as far as what Jesus wants to do, we can't do anything apart from Him. Can't do anything. Zero. Absolutely zero. He really means what He says. We're nothing. And that's the whole idea of dying to our old life. We become nothing so that God may work in us. God the Father at work in us, so that it's not us that's doing this, it's God at work in us. And that's why we must deny ourselves. And that's why Paul could say, it's no longer I who live, it's Christ who lives in me. Paul wasn't trying to bring anything of his own stuff to the table. In fact, he says in Philippians 3 there, says, I count all my own stuff as garbage. I was a Pharisee of Pharisees. I knew just about everything there was to know about being a Pharisee. I was one of the best Pharisees there ever was. It's just complete rubbish compared to knowing Jesus and fellowshipping in His sufferings. Fellowshipping in the sufferings of Jesus. Paul once said these words, because of the surpassing greatness of the revelations that he had received, for this reason to keep me from exalting myself, there was given me a thorn in the flesh, a messenger of Satan to torment me, to keep me from exalting myself. Concerning this I implored the Lord 3 times that it might leave me. And He said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for power is perfected in weakness. Most gladly, therefore, I will rather boast about my weaknesses, so that the power of Christ might dwell in me. Therefore I am well content with weaknesses, with insults, with distresses, with persecutions, with difficulties for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. And it means Christ is powerful in me. That was his point. So do you see what he's saying there? He's saying he's really content, if you tell me I'm weak, and you insult me, and you persecute me, and, I have these thorns in my flesh, that's all good. That's all good for me. Because then Christ's power, not my own, not Paul's great knowledge or anything like that, but Christ's power, shines through me. He is strong. He is powerful in Paul. Only when Paul is giving over, his body and his life to Christ, I no longer live, but Christ lives in me. There's nothing about us that makes us worthy before the Lord. Nothing. And, God's got a way to save us, and that way is we make ourselves nothing. We deny our flesh, which is what we are. We deny ourselves so that Christ might shine through us. And so it's not us. It's not anything that comes from us at all. Nothing. Nothing of that has any value to God. Our wisdom is foolishness to God. And without the vine, the branches can do nothing. It's when we're suffering in his name, we fellowship in the suffering of Jesus and walk in his footsteps, picking up our cross and following after him, that the power of God is manifested in these bodies of flesh. And it's not us. It's something that happens when we take ourselves out of the equation. And we don't want to exalt ourselves, as Paul's talking about here, so that I wouldn't exalt myself. Well, that wouldn't be a good idea. And you see that a lot out there in the world. If you just kind of look around, there's a lot of men who want to exalt themselves. They want attention. They want to be big shots. They want to be applauded for, what they know and what they do. And that's just backwards. That's what the Pharisees were doing. And when we serve Jesus, we need to try to be weak in ourselves, in our own identity. We need to be weak in ourselves so that he is strong in us. Doing his will by his power, not doing our will by our power. Because we're flesh, and the flesh only knows how to sin, and that's why we need to deny it. When we are weak, he is strong. God bless you.